Alright, I'm addressing this KeithTruth character, this guy who supposedly debated me twice, no less. And if he wants to debate me, I openly challenge him to debate. A formal debate on the subject with no interruptions, so that he can see how foolish he really is. To think that he actually debated me. You know, delusions of grandeur are one thing, but come on. Let's be reasonable here. The first thing he wants to say, in his little bit ridiculous retort and rant on myself, is that the Grand Orient Temple, some guy named Yuri Lina, who by the way got expelled from his own country for being a pseudo-journalist and conspirator for the New World Order, said that he knew all this stuff about the Grand Orient Temple and so forth. It's a very common thread. People like to talk shit about an organization that they're not even a member of. And people who write these ridiculous books, you know, they write them to this particular group of people who are very credulous and they would believe anything. Yuri Lina is a moron, and he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. The Grand Orient Lodge is not affiliated with the Grand Lodge of England. Since the 1740s, they separated in the 1800s, especially over the Constitution of Anderson. He said that since 1963, every president has been a Mason or a skull and bones. Now that's just nonsense. There's only been 14 chronicled Freemasons who were president, and the last one was Gerald Ford. So he's a liar. There, anybody can Google that. Then he said that the Grand Orient was infiltrated by Weishaupt, a guy who's the Bavarian Illuminati was disbanded a few years after it was even conceived. And he said some guy who's a 90th degree said this. 90th degree? Where are you getting this nonsense from? Freemasonry is 3 degrees. Inner apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. That's Blue Lodge Freemasonry, okay? Now, there's something called auxiliary bodies that are extra, and that's the Scottish Rite and the Knights Templar. Now, the Scottish Rite has to do with esoteric Judaism and the Kabbalah, and they go from 4 to 32. But it's not part of Blue Lodge Freemasonry. Ancient Masonry only has 2 degrees. And I have all the books for all of them, so I've read all the knowledge. And the other one is 9 chapters of the Knights Templar, which is mostly a Christian organization. I wouldn't join either of them. But there's no 90th degree. He's just coming up with nonsense. Albert Pike and Aleister Crowley, you know, guilty by association. Well, Aleister Crowley and Albert Pike were Freemasons. Ha 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 ha. Well, yeah, so was Adolf Hitler and Martin Luther and John Calvin and all the rest of these people, and David Koresh and all the other people were Christians. I'm not blaming him for them. Plus, Albert Pike was he was a Scottish Rite member. I'm not a member of the Scottish Rite. And Aleister Crowley was a loony who formed this thing called the Golden Dawn. And I don't, you know, I'm not even a member of those guys. So whatever. Then he goes on to talk about Lucifer. Now this just has to do with complete ignorance. Okay, look up the word "luz." In Latin, it's light, light bringer. In the words of Isaiah 14:12, where it talks about, "Oh Lucifer, how you taught to be like the Most High, and you were cast out of heaven and put down to Sheol." Anybody who has half a sense, Google the word Lucifer and look up that it has nothing to do with the devil. It has to do with Nebuchadnezzar. The complete context there is that Isaiah is prophesying the downfall of the king of Babylon. Read chapter 13, read chapter 14, read chapter 15. Context. You know, it's not like a Christian now. Read it in its proper frickin' context. Has nothing to do with the devil. That has to do with Dante's Inferno and Milton's Paradise Lost. That's where they became synonymous with each other. This other idea, oh, the lower Freemasons don't know, only the higher Freemasons know that we're really devil worshippers. Google something called Leo Taxil's hoax. Leo Taxil, who was he was actually an atheist who hated the organization, and he admitted later when he became a Catholic that, yeah, I made the whole shit up, and I want to be absolved from my sin of talking shit about this organization that I completely made up. He went on public record and admitted he'd made the shit up about Baphomet and Freemasonry and the devil. Google Leo Taxil's hoax. That's Leotaxil. This is only people who don't understand this are the conspiracy nuts who want to believe all this other nonsense. Manly P. Hall, that we should sacrifice children to Lucifer. You probably heard the audio clip a second ago, but that comes from the Secret Teachings of All Ages, which is basically an encyclopedia of esoteric knowledge that Manly Hall put together. None of it is his own writing, really. Some of it is, but a lot of it's just collections of documents that were burnt mostly by the church. So he put together this collection that would preserve at least some of the esoteric knowledge. And in one of them, it's called the Modus Operandi for the Invocation of Spirits. And here he talks about There's an opening prayer, an invocation, and a lot of it's about God and Jesus, and none of it's his own writing, but he talks about it. And then he talks about, that's white magic, and then he talks about dark magic. And in dark magic, indeed it says that hereby I promise the great spirit Lucifer, prince of demons, each year that I'll bring in him a human soul to do what I please, and promises to bestow on him, and that's true, that's in there, but it's not Manly P. Hall talking, and it's not nothing to do with Freemasonry. It has to do with this being an encyclopedia of that kind of stuff. If he wants to denigrate him for that, then does he then give him credit for saying here, I have called thee in the name of Jesus Christ, at whose name every knee doth bow in heaven, earth, and hell? No, he wouldn't quote that. It's also in the modus operandi. Whatever. So that's just taking shit out of context and taking something out and attributing it to Manly P. Hall, and again, guilty of association and attributing it to Freemasonry. I could go on and on about this. Oh, the goddess of reason. Google Therese Momoro, okay? She didn't die. She wasn't a dead prostitute put on the throne as a goddess of reason. It was a real woman. Why would you kill the goddess of reason if that's the person you're embodying as the symbol of your crusade? You wouldn't kill her. That's like killing reason. And that's exactly what he's done, because he's a frickin' moron. That's it.